Hey guys, welcome back to today's video. So I apologize for the video being up so late. The past few days have been really hectic, and the third quarter for me for school, so pretty important, I guess. So today's topic of the video is going to be, can Democrats pretty much win in the South? Now, obviously, they do have some southern states that they could win, states like Virginia, North Carolina, and Florida, but pretty much the entire, I guess, Bible Belt has been reliably Republican and will probably be reliably Republican come future elections, with the exception of one or two states. Now, the South pretty much has had this red identity all the way since like the late 70s, and that's because of a major shift. Well, on a presidential level, that's because of a major shift, really. In the way that the parties are viewed by the southern states. I mean, states like Mississippi, Alabama, Tennessee, formerly Democratic strongholds, possibly Tennessee, possibly like for Bill Clinton, mainly because of Al Gore. Arkansas, Louisiana, Missouri were pretty much Democratic states during Bill Clinton, but after that, they pretty much are all solid red states. Now, the states in red are the states that have been the same since the year 2000, and the states in blue are the same states that voted Democrat since the year 2000. But we're pretty much just focusing on the South. So, in order for Democrats to win in the South, there are some states that are possibly could go to the Democrats. That include states like Virginia, North Carolina, Florida, and Georgia. Even though that's been the same since 2000, it's very likely that the state will flip in future elections. Now, that's only 4 states out of the immediate South that we pretty much really talk about. And we go over to states like Mississippi or Alabama, where the 2017 special election just happened. What would it take for certain states like that to flip? Now, let's say the Democrats run someone like Governor John Bel Edwards in the state of Louisiana. Pretty much the state of Louisiana because of the toss-up. Arkansas, not so much, but it is mildly possible, but it'll probably stay red. Now, let's forget about that. West Virginia, sort of, I guess, considered southern, would, I guess, be a toss-up if they run someone like Joe Manchin. But these are specific states. What would it take for the Democrats to be able to win in states like Mississippi, Alabama, Arkansas, Louisiana, Tennessee, South Carolina? I mean, with the South being at this point, the Democrats would definitely need someone who can appeal to Christian voters, someone who can appeal to definitely white voters, and would really need to exponentially drive minority turnout. And that's really hard to get in one candidate, and it probably won't be any modern Democrat. These have to be conservative Bill Clinton type Democrats, and states like Mississippi and Alabama didn't even go for Bill Clinton. I mean, these states are reliably Republican, and it's going to be increasingly hard for the Democrats to win in the South. Now, as things shift, South Carolina, by political pundits, does have a possibility of flipping in, say, 12 years. That's a long time out, but it is possible. Going over to the state of Alabama, I mean, growing minority population is possible for a flip, but probably not in the immediate future. I mean, not 12 years, not 20 years, probably farther out by that. And by then, the entire rest of the country would have changed. So the South probably would or would not matter more than it does today. So the only state that we see possibilities of flipping today are states like Georgia, Florida, North Carolina, and Virginia. Now, South Carolina is pretty much the only one that's been talked about a possibility of flipping, but West Virginia is pretty much out of the ballgame. Kentucky, I mean, that one's increasingly more Republican every single election year, whether it comes to the state level or it comes to the presidential level. The state of Missouri had a possibility of flipping back in 2008, probably not going to have a possibility of flipping in any immediate future because, again, the Southern identity. Now, the Republican identity of pretty much everything in, I guess, Arkansas, Mississippi, Louisiana, keeps them Republican because conservative family values are pretty much outlined throughout their, pretty much throughout their religion, I guess. So the massive support for Christianity definitely correlates with the number of Republican voters, and the fact that the Republican Party has pretty much become the party of religion really shows that if a Democrat can be a conservative, like someone like in Louisiana, John Bel Edwards, he could really have a possibility of flipping parts of the South. But then again, because of how partisan the states are, only a state like Louisiana and possibly Arkansas could flip. And states like South Carolina are not going to flip. States like Georgia are a little bit iffy. I mean, you would definitely need a candidate who can appeal to black voters to get voters out in Georgia, North Carolina, Virginia, and possibly South Carolina. That's a very long stretch, and you would need someone who can appeal to Latino voters to win in the state of Florida. Don't forget someone who can appeal to white voters and Christian voters, enough to win over some key states in the South. Mississippi and Alabama are probably not going to flip in any future elections. Tennessee and Kentucky, West Virginia all the same. The only real possibilities are Missouri. Arkansas is pretty much out of the call, and Louisiana, depending on who the candidate is, but it's pretty much out for any modern Democrat now. So, looking at the map, the answer is pretty much no. Democrats cannot win back the South in the immediate future. Now, obviously, the South will go to the Democrats in a future election, but it doesn't mean in the immediate future. It could mean in 70 years from now, or it probably won't be 70, but I mean in 30 years from now. That's a long time away, and it's going to be super hard to predict what happens then for obvious reasons. I mean, we can't predict the demographics past a couple decades, and going over to 30 years, no one really has the insight to make an accurate prediction as to where the South will vote in let's say 2040. Now, the South pretty much reliably Republican, and it's going to stay that way, just like the Northeast will probably stay Democratic. Now, you could also have said the same thing about the state of Michigan, which gave Barack Obama around a 17-point margin over John McCain, but gave Donald Trump a 1-point margin over Hillary Clinton. A swing of around 18%. But even if you give a swing of around 18% in Mississippi, Alabama, South Carolina, Tennessee, Kentucky, West Virginia, Arkansas, Louisiana, and even Missouri, they all stay red. So even with what we've seen in the Rust Belt, with what we've seen in a drastic change and a drastic shift from a landslide election to a pretty much something nobody expected, even if that happens, even if what we see in a shift and like what we saw in the Alabama special election, which was a special case, a number of these states still wouldn't flip. They would still hold their Republican identity, whether it be by 5 or 10 points. Now, a number of these states definitely, again, can flip, but they're not going to. I mean, heavy African-American population that could potentially match the white electorate, they just don't come out to vote, which is why they stay Republican. And that's why I said they need a candidate who can appeal to black voters, but also white voters, because you can't forget about white people and only appeal to black voters, because then you get part of the minority population. You won't get all of the black vote, and you'll pretty much lose drastically with the white vote. So states like Georgia, if you appeal to the black vote, you'll probably carry some of the white vote just being a Democrat. But you probably can't really win in a general election with the state of Georgia. You might lose it by a couple points as Hillary Clinton did, but you can't win it. In order to win it, you need to convince those white voters to come out to vote for you, and that's not something we see in the modern Democratic Party. The growing minority electorate is not moving down to states like Alabama, Mississippi, Arkansas, Louisiana. They're going to states like Florida, Georgia, states that we've already classified as toss-ups. Now, these states have been toss-ups for years. They went to Bill Clinton, they went to Bush, they went to Obama, they went to Trump. Now, they're just going to continually be swing states. I mean, that's how it is. But states like Alabama, Mississippi, these haven't been swing states for a very long time. If anything, they've been safe for the past, since modern political history. These all have been safe one way or the other. So these states probably don't have a possibility of flipping. The South is not regainable at this point. Now, when it comes to congressional elections, probably not going to happen either. But in 2018, they do have a possibility of winning maybe in Arkansas, like the heart of Arkansas, in Arkansas's 2nd district. Maybe in a little part of Mobile in Alabama, along with their 1 congressional district. But again, it's not likely to happen because of how partisan the voters are and how unique a candidate would have to be in order to just hit all the right tones and be scandal-free and not have a good Republican opponent just so they can have a shot at flipping the South. The Democrats obviously have a better chance at flipping the Rust Belt. They don't need to win the South. They can lose North Carolina. They can lose Florida. They can lose Virginia. They can lose Indiana. They can lose Missouri. They can lose Iowa. But if they hold on to states like Colorado, New Mexico, and Nevada, states that have been going to them in previous election years, and they hold on to New Hampshire, and they hold on to Maine, pretty much it comes down to the state of Ohio. Now, this state has been going back and forth, but again, Virginia is probably not going to go to the Republicans, so that's pretty much out. So the Democrats can afford to lose Ohio, but they don't need the South. I mean, if you take Barack Obama's map and you subtract the South, he still wins. If you take his 2008 map, again, he still wins. Now, I mean, looking at where the Democrats can improve, they can definitely improve in the South, flipping states like Georgia, North Carolina, Florida, and holding on to Virginia. But again, it's not needed, and the Rust Belt will probably come back to them in 2020. Now, obviously, they're probably going to carry Virginia, so I wouldn't count that one in. But again, North Carolina and Georgia can all be gone. Florida can be gone. I mean, they're not going to win Indiana. They're probably not going to win Nebraska second, and they're probably not going to win Iowa or Ohio. I mean, looking at the current standing today, depending on the candidate. But nonetheless, the South pretty much isn't needed at this point. Now, the question still stands, can they win back the South? No. I mean, it's gone. Pretty much the South at this point, they're not going to find a candidate who can do this. They're not going to find someone who's going to be their savior, someone who's going to be able to flip the South from red to blue. That's not how it works. Alabama was a special case. The Georgia 6 election was a special case. This is not going to happen again, nor will it happen on a statewide level in a presidential election year. Partisan levels increase. I mean, congressional elections, we saw how many Trump supporters supported Conor Lamb because they agreed with his ideals, but he was a Democrat. They wouldn't do that in a general election if Conor Lamb was on the ballot because they still supported Trump fundamentally and he was part of their base. So, I guess back on topic, no, the Democrats cannot win back the South. They can't win the deep South. They can win parts of the South, but it probably is not going to happen in the immediate future. It depends on where demographics go, and it's probably not going to flip states like Mississippi, Alabama, Tennessee, Kentucky. It does have a possibility of flipping states like Georgia, Florida, and North Carolina, but these states have been swing states for a very long time, and it is not really an accurate indication of the South turning one way or another other than just staying Republican. So thank you guys for watching this video. Comment down suggestions below. I'm putting out a few more election nights coming out soon, so if you guys want to see those, just tell me what type of videos you want to see, and tell me ideas for election nights. But yeah, so I saw a lot of your comments about doing Corbin versus May. That'll probably come out soon. I'm thinking about doing that maybe an election night or just an election prediction so you can actually see the reasoning, or both. It depends. But yeah, so I definitely need to read up more about the candidates themselves because I mean, to be honest, I pay more attention for obvious reasons to American politics than British politics, but regardless, I'll still make the video for you guys, and we'll see how they work out on electoral maps. So again, thank you guys for watching this video, and I'll see you all tomorrow.